So today I have with us Kelly, and let me tell you a little bit about her and why I am so excited for today's call. So Kelly Stegmann is on a mission to infuse everyday life with magic and meaning. After years of weaving magic into her daily routines, from daily sigils in her children's sandwiches to using moon water in laundry, and along with being a lifelong tarot reader and certified energy practitioner, Kelly realized that her calling was to help others discover their own innate magic. Now, that is why I have invited her to join us today. And we're going to discuss that crossover between being witchy and, the spirituality. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm okay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Oh, I'm all giggly. I'm all like, yay, I love
Yeah.
this. So, can you share with everybody just a little bit what got you here? It says you're a lifelong reader, tarot reader, but how
I
did it
am.
actually like develop, start, all of these?
Um, well, growing up, I had always wanted to be magic. I grew up with the cartoons, the Archie comics, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, all of that. And I wanted to be magic more than anything in the world. But I thought I wasn't, I was just me. But it turns out that everyone is magic and everyone has magic inside them. And, it wasn't until probably my mid 20s when I realized that. And that's when I started really actively bringing magic into my everyday life. I got my first tarot deck somewhere between 12 and 13. I can't remember actually how I got it, but I have always had it and I've always used it. And from there, things just kind of grew because, as you know, in the witchy world and the spiritual world, the learning never stops. There's always something new, something more to explore. So
Yeah.
here I am.
Yeah, and I love that you share that because so for me, I've always been in the spiritual world in one way or another since I was little, but also
Mhm.
like at 13, 14, I have a fascination with the tarot cards.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I don't think I've shared this before. So I was about 14 or 15. I grew up in South Florida.
Mhm.
My aunt, one of my aunts knows that about me. Like, we come from a little quote unquote witchy family. And there was a gypsy at the Hard Rock Casino.
Okay.
And she's like, let's go get our cards read or our hand read. I don't remember what it was. And I looked at her and I was like, okay. She was like, okay. I'm like, okay. I ended up telling the gypsy way more stuff that she told me. And the only thing I remember was from my aunt, it was supernatural, like normal. And she just looked at me and she goes, I just spent $25 so you can tell her the things. Like she didn't tell us. And I always laugh like, that is so cool, like whatever. But I love when you
Yeah.
say we're all magic and we're all that because I also wanted to be like Sabrina the Witch and like all these different things. And it was so cool. So I love that you did that. Now, let's talk about today's topic. So there is a crossover between being witchy and being spiritual.
Yes.
Before we go there, what's
Hmm.
the difference? Is there a difference?
I think there is because I think that witchcraft is a particular practice that
Okay.
has many, many paths. So there are hundreds of ways to practice witchcraft, but that is only a fraction of the whole spirituality umbrella, which includes religions and witchcraft and, another 100 million things in
Right.
between them because it's so individual to everyone. Um, so I think it's an individual path under that umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me personally, I kind of pick and choose from a lot of different modalities. I kind of have my own practice. It includes part of witchcraft, excuse me, and it includes other things as well. So
Right.
for me, the blend of it works.
Right. And that's so something funny is obviously I'm Hispanic.
Hmm.
In Spanish, and I've been talking about this for the past few days, which is funny enough. In Spanish, yes, of course, there's spirituality, but the technical term, or how do we call it? The society, the way we look at it is if you're into any of this, you're a witch. Like, period.
Yeah.
And for me, when I talk about it in English, last season, in season 8, there was one episode that is like, are you intuitive? Are you a medium or are you psychic? And in my Spanish world, I'm like, aren't they all the same thing? Like for me, it's like eres brujita, like you're just a witch. Like
Yeah.
why the
Mhm.
categories? And that's why I love what we're talking about today, because there is such a crossover. There are so many things that are blended in. So let's
Yes.
start talking about that. Like, what are some of the things that you find that are confusing to say, oh, that's that and not that, and you know.
Yeah, I actually just did a post on this on TikTok, a video on TikTok, because I think the word witch scares a lot of people away from what witchcraft is.
Yes.
I think witchcraft is an intentional fusion of your energy to determine an actual outcome. Like if you're doing a spell, like that is what it is. You're taking your energy to direct the outcome of an event or a situation. And really, that is not much different than setting intentions or prayer or making a wish in a fountain. It's kind of all the same thing. It's just expressed in different ways.
Hmm.
So I'm always like, I always tell people, I said, do not let the term witch scare you. Like if you don't identify with that particular word, then that's what it is. You don't have to use it. You can do anything a witch does and not use that label. I think as a society as a whole, we want to put people in boxes and label people and things. And I think we're moving towards, I think we're moving towards a point in society where eventually the labels won't matter. And, you
And
know,
you're, yeah,
it'll just be.
yeah, and you're complete. Yes. It's like everything, yes. Okay, so a few months ago,
Mhm.
I found myself in Boston. So I've been traveling for the last year and a half. And I found myself in Boston and I
Mhm.
was like, I'm gonna go to Salem. And I'm
Why
gonna go to
can you
Salem.
not?
I know, right? It's like I didn't even go to Boston, Boston, which I want to go to Boston, Boston. But I was like, I'm here, it's Salem. Like, forget it.
Mhm.
So I took an Uber from where I was, and it was like 30 minutes or something. So I took an Uber and I was like, whatever. And I got there, and my whole intention, number one, yes, I wanted to go because I've never been there. But
Yeah.
number two, and I'll be 100% transparent, like I always am. I wanted to go to reconnect with that side of me being a witch. Because again,
Mhm.
in Spanish, it is called bruja.
Yeah.
And the same thing, it's the label. Like you tell somebody, I'm a witch, and they look at you with like, you do evil things, you're with the devil, you're this, you're that, you're da, 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 da. So I've hit that from a lot of people in the sense of I wasn't okay with being called a witch in those ways. Like I'll call myself like brujita, like a little witch, like because
Mhm.
you're that. But it's precisely that. It's the label. So I went to Salem to make peace with it's a part of me. It really is a part of me. And I think by us being so afraid of it, we push ourselves away from our own potential.
Absolutely. And I'm laughing not at your story, but just when you say it's a part of me, that's what I mean when I say everybody has magic. Your, Once you recognize that spark within yourself, you you can't like hide it anymore. Like I don't even know how to describe it because
Yeah.
once you find it, it's there and you realize like, oh, I am connected. I'm connected to my higher self. I'm connected to my soul. I'm connected to the universe as a whole and as a collective.
Mhm.
And I think more and more people are waking up to that.
Yeah. And you're right. It's taking away the label because they're waking up, but which is part of why we're also doing this episode.
Hmm.
To let people know there's nothing actual taboo. There's nothing wrong with it. Everything we do is with intention. And it doesn't have to be a witch. It could just be a person. What is
Exactly.
their intention? Do they have a lot of money and they wish to donate it to whatever? Or
Hmm.
do they wish to, I don't know, buy horrible things? I mean, whatever it is, it's the intention that we put with everything,
Exactly.
this included. So I love that. And then I also love that you said that witchcraft it's like the under the umbrella of spirituality.
Hmm.
Because when you do read things of spirituality, I actually, full confession, this weekend, I was like, I'm going to improve my psychic abilities. Let's see what
There you go.
psychicness is. And it all said, meditate, learn how to be a clear vessel, blah, blah, blah. So again, it sounds like spirituality. It sounds like all these things we are already doing, just okay under those terms.
Yes. Yes. Because I think, I don't know, maybe even like 15, 20 years ago, if you said spiritual, people automatically assumed religious.
Hmm.
And again, I think religion falls under that umbrella.
Hmm.
That you can have religion and be spiritual and have other things as well. I don't think any of it is like one and done. I think it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
So yeah, you say you're going to get in touch with your psychic abilities. Well, in order to do that, you have to be grounded and you have to recognize your intuition and you have to do all those foundational things that,
Right.
eventually it's not even an umbrella. Sometimes it's more like a tree. So it all starts with those ground roots of intuition and your intention and being grounded and centered in yourself. And then it grows, and that's where it branches out into so many possibilities,
Hmm. Yeah, that
depending
makes
upon what your interests are.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And I think throughout life it's all of us. It takes us through a direction, which is part of why I always ask the guests to share how they got to where they got. Because
yeah.
sometimes it's like life leads you to here, and then from here to here, and then from here to here, and then here. And we are all so individualized. Now I'm gonna get technical, individualized in this oneness that it
So true.
depends so many possibilities that you as this essence came here to grow in with what you've already grown. So even our paths, although they're so similar, they're so
Mhm.
individualized because we're all feeding back into the oneness our experience and our learnings. So that's like super cool. I hope I didn't lose anybody on that, but it's like all over, but yes, but no, but now, I wanted to ask you, so I know what a sigil is. Can you explain? Because I love that when you said you put it on your kids' sandwiches. I thought that was like, that's such cute a thing. Can you explain to people what that is?
Sure. In its simplest form, a sigil is just a symbol to represent your intention. And it can be, there are very complicated ways to make some, and there are also very simple ones. Hearts represent love, the dollar sign represents money. Like those can be used as sigils. So when I make my kids' lunch, well, back in the day when they were little, um, I would just take it, I'd make the peanut butter and I would just take the knife and I could draw the heart or I'd draw their initial and I'd be like, oh, I hope so and so has a good day today, or I hope she does well on her test, that sort of thing. So it's just another way to confirm your intention and to tangibly put it into something. Sometimes people need that like physical act of doing something. And then they could be complicated too. There's a way to do it with numbers, there's a way to do it with the alphabet. Google can help you with all of that. Not using vowels. So there's a way to make more complicated symbols to represent more complicated or sophisticated intentions.
Hmm.
But you can just use, if you want somebody to be happy today, you could just draw a smiley face on something that works too. It's again, it all goes back to your intention. The
Right,
intention is the foundation of it all.
right. Um, are there specific sigils for something, or can we make up our own?
You can absolutely make up your own. And again, Google has if you search it, there are some fantastic websites that can walk you through doing it. If there's, if you doodle a lot and there's something you doodle all the time, put your intention into that. That's your sigil. You can make up your own. The rune stones have
Hmm.
the symbols on them. A lot of people use runestone symbols for sigils. There's ones for protection and ones for wealth and abundance. So yeah, it can be as personalized as you want, or you can just use the general one that everybody else uses. So
The emojis.
exactly.
And it's true because it's symbology, which also
Mhm.
mixes in with like the tarot and the psychic awareness and everything. Sometimes we see a symbol that is it represents something to the person. Like when we're looking at the tarot cards, yes, the card may mean X, but I don't know, the cat's what drew us, or the
Exactly.
pillow, or the river, or and that's what happens with a lot of times. It's developing that psychic sight. Or and there was a phrase that I heard very long ago when I studied alternative medicine that I was like, oh, I want that. And then years later, I was like, oh, it's just psychic sight. Like I get it. It's symbols, and what does it mean to me? Like the subconscious, what does that mean to me? So is it the same thing then?
Basically the same thing. It's how it's represented for you and what it means to you. So, the other thing about sigils when you get more into it is like they're secretive. Nobody else is supposed to know what it means. But like,
Okay.
again, like for your everyday magic and bringing magic into the mundane, you're going to use hearts and smiley faces
Mhm.
and dollar signs, and it kind of similar to like the family crest that you see in a lot of like
Okay.
wealthy historical families. Like that crest is almost like a sigil for their family and what their family stands for.
Okay. Question.
Hmm.
Well, you mentioned the runes. So
Hmm.
I've always had an interest in runes since I was young, actually, but I never really followed up with them. So are the runes precisely just sigils, or can we use the runes as sigils? Does that make sense?
Yes, you would use the rune symbol as the sigil. The
Okay.
rune stones themselves are used for divination,
Mm-hmm.
much like tarot and palm reading and tea leaves and all of that. There's a specific way to read them. Each rune stone has its own symbol, and I believe, I'm not too familiar with the rune stones. I haven't used them in a long time. Each stone has three meanings. So you
Mm-hmm.
would learn the meanings, and then you would learn how to cast and learn what they mean, the way they fall, and
Mm-hmm.
you would practice that way. So you can use them as a divination tool, but like the symbol, the ankh, the
Mm-hmm.
loop with the so that is used for abundance, and that can be used for protection. So some symbols have multiple meanings.
Is the Ankh in the runes?
I don't
Or
think that one is
okay.
particularly on a runestone, but
Okay. Yeah,
it
but no,
popped
I
into
know
my
what you
head that
mean.
that's one
Okay.
everybody might be familiar with. So
Right, right,
yeah.
right. Okay, no, I love that. Okay, now let's talk about, all right, we already did the crossover between witchy and spirituality. It's literally AKA the same thing. So, how or can you share with us like some common everyday magic somebody can use?
Oh, sure. So easy. When I'm going to go through like a day, like what you would do every day. So you wake
Okay.
up in the morning, the first thing you want to do is set your intention to have a good day. If you wake up and you're like, oh crap, I got all this stuff to do, you've set the tone for your whole day. So you want to wake up, you want to set a good intention. I'm going to have a great day today. And then when you make your coffee or your breakfast, when you're stirring, stir those intentions in. Do it clockwise to draw it into you. So you
Okay.
want to say, I'm going to have a great day. I'm just going to keep using that example. And you're
Hmm.
stirring that into your coffee. And then you're drinking your coffee that you put that intention into. When you're cleaning up and, straightening, making your bed and stuff, when you make your bed, set the intention that tonight when I get home, I'm going to have a good night's sleep, a good restful night's sleep. And then it sounds silly, but thank your bed. Thank you for the good
Hmm.
night's sleep I had last night. And then you make it up all nice and neat. When you're dusting, you're removing negative energy from your home. When you're cooking, you're putting your intention of love and care and health and anything else you want into your family's food. I mean, there's so many ways.
Right.
I fold intentions into clothing. Well, everybody does their own laundry now, thank God.
That
But
was
when I was
intention
doing
said a long time ago. May they
when
do
I
it
was,
themselves.
yeah, no, but even when like I'm folding my own clothes or if I'm hanging up a shirt for my husband or something, I do it with the intention like, oh, when they wear this, they're going to have a great day at work, or I love and care about this person when you're doing their laundry. So you can make, and then it becomes when you start practicing things like that, it eventually becomes second nature.
Hmm.
And as you move through your day with positive intentions in everything that you do, you're raising your personal vibration, which then in turn attracts things on that same vibrational level back to you. So it's like a whole way of living and a whole cycle. And that is not to say that bad things never happen, because life is life and we are
Right.
humans,
Right.
and good things and bad things happen. But when the bad things happen, you know there's hope, and you know that that wheel of the year is going to keep turning and things are going to keep changing. So you don't get, hopefully you don't get sucked down into
Hmm.
negativity all the time. You can bounce back from it a little bit easier. And
Hmm.
that is how I use magic in the mundane all the time.
No, and those are the things.
But how
It's
excited I get. I can't even stop talking about it.
no, and I love that. That's good because people think, okay, how do I do magic? And it's that. It is the simple intention of knowing, thinking, and feeling. Like for me, I'm being witchy. Like I started putting cinnamon in my coffee the
Yeah.
night before because I set it up the night before. That way in the morning, because I am not a morning person. All I want to do is press that button. Like I don't want to have to like get
Yep.
the coffee out and the whole thing. Like no. So I do it the night before.
Mhm.
I start putting in the cinnamon with intention. I'm bringing sweetness into my life. I'm doing this into this. I'm giving myself yumminess for when I wake up. And that is literally the magic. We grew up watching things on TV. You want to see the sparkles and the fairy dust and the pixie dust and all these things. And yet it's in the simplest of things. You can feel it. You can absolutely feel it. But I love that you said it's clockwise because I've actually been stirring the other way to the left, not
My
clockwise.
natural habit is to stir counterclockwise. But if it's working, okay, so this is the thing about all magic and all
Right.
spirituality. If it is working for you and that's how it works, then you leave it. Because
Right.
another favorite phrase of mine is your magic, your way.
Oh, I
If
love
it
that.
works for you, that is what works for you. There is no reason in the world to change it.
Right. And it's not
Oh,
like I'm not gonna go thinking, oh my God, I've been doing backwards. Da, 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 da. No, it was just like,
exactly.
huh,
Exactly.
huh. I was like, I think I
I
go this
consciously think about it, I will
way.
stir clockwise.
Right, right. Now that I know, it's like, oh, okay, it's that way. Then again, I'm not gonna beat myself up. It's whatever time in the morning. I haven't had the coffee. It's come to me, yeah. Like I don't care which way, left or right. Just point is it's coming, which is again the intention.
The universe is very forgiving.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
not, that's the other thing. You aren't punished for spirituality. Like the
Right.
universe doesn't punish you for things.
Right.
Karma is a different story, but the
Right.
universe itself will not punish you depending upon what choice you make and what way you stir your coffee.
Right. You hear
Right?
that? We're just clarifying. Got that? I want to go back to something because I think again, it's the whole labels thing. I'm not going to badge religion. I'm not going
Mhm.
to do all those things. But I think a lot of the fear and a lot of the reasons people are scared or away from the label witch is because of everything that did happen in the past.
Yes.
So there was that whole Inquisition, there was that whole thing. And one of the things although I logically always knew, I finally feel it, is coming to terms with whether it's the word in English or Spanish, it's coming to words with number one, it was used in a very human ego mean sort of way. Like maybe they weren't quote unquote witches and they just got thrown in there and like it just like the paranoia got to a lot of them.
Yeah.
But second, which is one of the things that I did in Salem, it was like these people, they weren't bad. I mean, they were witches because they know how to heal with herbs. They know
Mhm.
how to put intention. Maybe they would have their intuition be like, hey, don't go this because I don't know, the horse is gonna go crazy and that's what happened. And then they're like, oh my God, you're a witch. Like all of these different things. And then I think about it and it's like, it's been natural medicine. These people knew from their ancestors, from their parents, from their, whatever, this
Mhm.
tea will help your stomach. It wasn't magic per se. It seemed like magic. It's
Yeah.
just like if we go now back days to the old times and we give them a lighter, oh my God, you can create fire.
Mhm.
So it's like all these things. So I wanted to bring that up again because I think, again, the label is what scares a lot of people
Yeah.
that I
Absolutely.
can't say this and I can't share this because my family's Catholic or because of this So it's that whole fear that's unnecessary.
It really is. And that's why I'm hoping that as our society and our, the world as a whole marches into the future, that the labels become less and less prominent. And eventually we're just one.
Hmm.
But I think we're a long ways from that.
Well,
It probably
maybe.
will not happen in my lifetime and probably not in my children's, but eventually I do think that we will learn to live as a peaceful society without
Right,
labeling,
right,
regardless.
right. And that's why I love what you do about bringing the aspect of magic into everyday life because just the sound of it sounds fun. Just the sounds of it raises our energy because it's like, yay,
It
I get to
is
do it.
fun because we all wanted to be Sabrina.
Exactly. Even if we didn't tell anybody, we all want
Exactly.
that. I mean, that's the whole thing. Why do so many little girls want to dress up as witches?
Yep,
I've
exactly.
always thought about that. It's like it is a costume that has never been out of style. One, because yeah, it's fine. Halloween and witches, I get that.
Yeah.
But people get bored. They've never gotten bored of playing witch.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope.
Ever.
Because of the magic.
Right. And I love when you, that was just what I was going to say, bringing it into the everyday because it really is magic transforming your life. It's just like gratitude. The practice of gratitude on a daily habit is magical in our transformation.
Absolutely.
And it's just seeing
Absolutely.
magic, like I said, not with the pixie dust, not with the this. Sometimes we can see things that are like,
Hmm.
oh, what was that? Like, oh, my crystal just turned another color.
Exactly.
But it's the psychic thing that we're just connecting to, which is normal.
Absolutely normal. And I also think as we develop as humans and we continue, just to grow and expand, I think you'll find a lot of our latent gifts like clairvoyance and claircognizance and being psychic or being a medium. You'll find, I think, that will become more and more prominent. We are leaning towards opening up our latent gifts. And there is, I want to say handful, but it's really millions of people who are recognizing that now. And I think that's just going to expand. And as that expands, hopefully that's when we start getting rid of the labels.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's more people tuning into them. Call it
Mm.
whatever you want to call it. It's tuning into them in a very different and free way that
Yeah.
we've done in the past. So I do also think it's going there. And like I said, I'm putting myself in there because even though I barely tell people that, except if I'm
Mhm.
like, you know, playing around, I'm like, oh yeah, soy brujita. Like I
Yeah.
am a witch. I am a witch. I'm actively looking for it now because I finally feel, because it's not even understand, because understand is my logic mind, but I feel 300% as in that is who I am, and that's okay.
It is okay.
It's okay. I'm
Yep.
not doing anything
Absolutely.
wrong. Why am I hiding it from people? Because of the label.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Mm.
Honey, I know we're running out of time, but where can people learn more about you, connect with you, learn more of your offerings? I know you have a lot of different things. Where can people
I
reach out?
do. I do. I have well, my main website, www.thebohowitchery.com. And all my social is the Boho Witchery also. So you can find me on all the main socials. I do have a membership program that I help people find their own magic. I help them explore whatever avenue of spirituality they want to learn, whether it is learning the runes or learning tarot or just learning to listen and follow their intuition. So I help them grow with some one-on-one mentorship, and you have access to all of my programs. I hold monthly moon ceremonies and sacred circles, and I do a group divination once a month too for the public to sign up for. And let's see. Oh, and I hold workshops where I can actually teach you how to do stuff like this. And if I don't know how to do it, I have guest speakers come in and they can teach you.
Nice. Are those online or are those local?
Those are all virtual.
Okay,
Everything's
nice.
virtual, so you can join from anywhere in the world.
Nice, nice.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you
The
for
con-
having me.
no, the
It's such a
conversation.
fun conversation. I loved it.
And I was about to say the same thing. It is. It's a conversation that's uplifting and it's fun and it is. It is magical and witchy and yet so grounded and down to earth because it is what it is, except it's how we perceive it, right? And we perceive it as fun and cute and like I love it. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye bye.